When it comes to purchasing a new PC case, airflow related questions will no doubt enter your thought process numerous times. How much air does my hardware actually need? And will my system overheat if I don't buy an airflow focused case? I hear you. It's actually less confusing than you think, and most brands place emphasis on cooling now above all else, especially with the increase in component heat over recent and current hardware generations. Truth be told, not all systems do need masses of air to operate efficiently. However, increasing the air movement around your components is never a bad thing. It both extends the life of the hardware while simultaneously allowing your system to operate more quietly. But how does increasing the fans and airflow decrease the volume? It sounds counterintuitive, right? Well, 3 case fans running at 100% speed will undoubtedly be louder than 7 fans running at 50% speed. Most case fans are relatively inaudible up to 50% of their max RPMs. It's within this segment of their speed curve where they're offering the best noise to speed ratio. So, more fans running at a lower speed can often direct more air efficiently through your case, over the hardware, and back out the other side whilst keeping the noise levels down. You see, we've had the pleasure of getting hands-on with and running airflow visual tests on an exceptional amount of PC cases over the passing years. There's also been a wild learning curve with some interesting end results, that's for sure. So here's a small selection from our top airflow focused cases which you can head out and buy right now. The Tough Gaming GT302 from ASUS is a standard mid-tower format chassis which has traditional front intake with top and rear exhaust patterns. The simplicity of the GT302's layout is where you'll also find its strengths. 3 140mm front intake fans at 28mm thickness can drive air effortlessly through the largely unobstructed front panel. There is a mesh filter here, which through our testing doesn't appear to restrict airflow to any noticeable level. At the rear, we also find support for a 140mm fan, which is great news for air-cooled systems to help draw warm air through the heatsink and directly out of the back of the chassis. This format is excellent for liquid cooling too, with the top of the GT302 being able to house a 360mm radiator comfortably. The Tough Gaming 302 is one of those trusty mid-tower cases which can house the largest air coolers and huge graphics cards without breaking a sweat. If it's a traditional cooling format you're seeking, then this case will always hit the sweet spot for most builds.
Matt? Matt? I'm ready for the cable management. Where is he this time?
Sorry dude, I'm doing best airflow cases this week.
So, I'm not needed?
Nope. Back to your cupboard, please. I'm so sorry, Sam. Fractal Design's Meshify series has been long known for their excellent cooling with unique design language. When it comes to the Meshify 3, the front mesh isn't just a pretty face adorning the fan area, it's also an unrestricted airflow entrance into the chassis. Buying this case with the 3 pre-installed 140mm momentum fans is an absolute must for the best airflow experience straight out of the box. Those fans feature LCP blades which are relatively quiet whilst moving plenty of air through the case. The airflow ramp helps to direct cool air directly towards the graphics card too. Whilst 2 140mm fans at the top, or a 280mm radiator may not be sufficient for everybody, the Meshify 3 also comes as an XL variation, which pushes the cooling support even further with more hardware compatibility. A modest size with exceptional out-the-box cooling, the Meshify 3 not only looks modern with a futuristic edge, it houses some of the best included case fans that we've built in for quite some time now. If we went back a few years, it would be bizarre to consider that NZXT could be an airflow focused brand, yet here we are in 2025 and NZXT have some of the best airflow focused cases currently available. The H3 Flow certainly woke us up earlier this year with its excellent cooling compatibility and micro ATX form factor. We don't often see micro ATX cases with an emphasis on airflow, but the H3 kinda hits different. Sharing a similar design language to its larger siblings, the H5 and H7 Flow, the H3 shifts the PSU towards the back side of the case, allowing the installation of two 120mm bottom intake fans with very little restriction. When you combine the bottom intake with two 140mm front intake fans, or even two 140mm top exhaust fans, this micro ATX case makes it happen with very little effort. Whilst the H3 Flow might be on the larger side for a micro ATX case, this is easily forgiven with the excellent support for cooling and graphics card lengths. But hey, if you still need more, there's always the H5 or H7, right? The Lancool 217 from Lian Li is very unique in its own way. Two huge 170mm front intake fans steal the show up front, along with two 120mm reverse blade fans on the power supply shroud, and not to forget the 140mm rear exhaust, all of which are included with the chassis. Lian Li are no slouch when it comes to performance of their fans, and the Lancool 217 is testament to just that. If you don't want to stress about which fans to buy, this case offers the easiest and most thoughtless approach for any level of PC builder. Simply install your motherboard and radiator or air cooler, and there's quite literally nothing else to it. Your cooling is pretty much optimized straight out of the box. Those two 170mm front intake fans could leave some questions unanswered, such as what happens if they fail later down the lines? Because let's face it, 170mm fans are not a standard in this industry. But setting aside those qualms, the front intake can house three 140mm or even three 120mm fans too. Stellar airflow performance from the start, with seemingly unlimited hardware support, the Lancool 217 continues to pave the way for cooling in 2025. Compact size with excellent cooling support, the Dan Case's A3 has earned its place in this list over the last year. The Dan Case's A3 might be on the smaller side, but make no mistake, it's still highly capable. With support for 360mm radiators at the top, or even on the side of the chassis, three 120mm bottom intake fans and a single 120 at the rear, the A3 takes advantage of the chimney effect cooling whilst remaining minimalist in style. Setting aside liquid cooling, the mesh version unlocks the door for larger air coolers with even more airflow. The mesh side panel allows for greater breathability where it matters, specifically towards your CPU cooler. Regardless of your build sporting the mesh or glass panel variations, this chassis oozes with character and has the ability to house some of the largest hardware on the market. Compact size, lower cost thanks to micro ATX, and excellent cooling throughout. There's a lot to love with the Dan Case's A3, and we hope to see this case stick around for more years to come. The ASUS ProArt PA401 is quite a niche selection in my opinion, primarily due to its restricted graphics card and radiator sizes. But there's no doubt that this particular case has excellent potential with some of its own unique quirks and features. Kicking things off, the PA401 houses two large 160mm front intake fans, which have a thickness of 32mm to drive more air through the case. Along with this, a single 120mm can be found at the rear of the case as a standard too. These fans perform extremely well indeed, allowing air to flow freely through the case both quietly and quickly. One of my personal favourite features of the 401 will always be the max fan speed switch at the top of the case. This can be especially useful when rendering videos or dialing in that momentary boost of airflow during intense gaming sessions. The PA401 might lack with its hardware support, which could be a turn off for those with larger graphics cards, but rest assured, if the wood aesthetic and subtle styling is your forte, then the next one might just be for you too. The much larger brother to the PA401, this is the PA602. This case is an absolute airflow titan in its own rights. Few PC cases in 2025 come with pre-installed 200mm case fans, but this ProArt chassis handles them with ease. Two 200mm front intake fans at 38mm thickness and a single 140 rear exhaust push this one to new levels, whilst maintaining low noise levels for those seeking creativity along with gaming. Able to support 420mm radiators at the top and every graphics card you can throw its way, the PA602 is an EATX cooling behemoth. Much like the smaller PA401, the PA602 sports the fan toggle switch, which allows maximum cooling in just a moment's notice, which, as we've already explained, is a pleasure to see. It's also worth noting that this case also is equipped with a fan hub as standard and a quirky dust filter infrared sensor to alert you when it needs cleaning. The PA602 is one of the best airflow focused cases we've seen in the past few years. Whether you're a gamer or creator, this one really dials in and hits the spot. It's time we start moving into the final few airflow giants, and TRYX certainly made a bang in the studio with their Luca L70 chassis. Typically speaking, panoramic glass cases wouldn't be included in this list, mainly due to their turbulent airflow nature and aesthetics over performance approach. But the Luca L70 surprised us, thanks to its unique bottom intake design. During airflow testing, it was evident that this chassis was quite literally eating up all of the air before spitting it out the top and the side of the case. No matter how many tries we had, we kept pushing the air from multiple different angles and there was no escaping for the smoke. This was too reflected in the overall system temperatures during the gameplay testing too. An unusual top-mounted PSU with panoramic hardware views, also combined with build quality quirks, yet satisfied by excellent airflow potential. The TRYX Luca L70 might have been a first for the brand over this last year, but it has also been an unexpected yet very welcomed addition to this list. One of the most recent cases to enter the Mr. Matt Lee studio, the new NZXT H9 Flow comes with airflow in masses, specifically the RGB Plus variation, which comes with all the pre-installed fans you could possibly need. The H9 Flow RGB Plus includes two F420 RGB fan bars along with a single 120mm rear exhaust. This means that you're getting 7 fans right out of the box, 6 of which being 140mm. A standout feature of the H9 Flow would be the angled side intake, which greatly optimizes airflow by driving cool air directly underneath the graphics card rather than at the front of the glass panel as typically seen in dual chamber cases. The H9 Flow is on the larger side when it comes to PC cases, but it makes up for that with style and cooling support. A smaller version of this chassis can be found in the H6 Flow, but you'll have to cough up some extra money to the fan budget, as it doesn't come as well equipped as the RGB Plus H9 Flow does. With huge cooling, maximum style, and panoramic views for days, there's a lot to love with the H9 Flow from NZXT. HAVN didn't just make ripples, they made tidal waves with the HS420 cases last year. Capable of supporting 11 140mm fans in total, whilst also providing unrestricted viewing angles to your hardware, one of the most notable features will be that very unique airflow layout. Having both 120 and 140mm fan support at the top and bottom of the rear of the chassis to drive air where it's most needed, the vGPU version of the HS420 also packs an industry-first glass air guide, which helps channel airflow directly into the graphics card. A balanced airflow pattern is particularly important with panoramic cases to keep dust at a minimum. This case is best optimized by utilizing 4 140mm fans at the bottom, with 4 140mm fans at the top. If of course more cooling is required, a further 3 140mm fans can be installed in the side section too. It's very difficult for a new brand to get recognised in such a busy area such as PC cases, but that recognition was going to come in full force when their entry for a first product was this strong. Huge in size with equally huge airflow potential, the HAVN HS420 stands proud as one of the finest airflow cases that you can buy right now. Of course, there are plenty of PC cases which we haven't featured on the channel, so we can only advise based on what we've experienced ourselves. In all honesty, most PC cases nowadays have excellent cooling potential, with brands constantly pushing the boundaries with modern PC case design. Some cases might require more thought when selecting your own fans, others may come pre-installed. Regardless, if you're chasing the ultimate cooling setup for your PC, or simply interested to learn more about airflow in general, there's hundreds of PC builds on the channel, and each one has their own airflow visualization segment too. So go give them a watch, but don't forget to make a coffee or two first. And as always, please drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your favourite PC case for airflow. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay cool.